What's up, guys? How's it going? I hope you guys are all doing well, having a fantastic, fabulous day or week. Today I'm going to be talking about what you should be looking out for when purchasing a BMW 335i. And the stuff that I'm going to be talking about largely doesn't even apply to the BMW 335i. It can also be applied to the BMW E90 generation as a whole. Now, this is a question which I've been getting asked quite a bit throughout the duration of my YouTube channel, on YouTube comments, on Instagram messages, on Twitter, all kinds of things. People asking me, hey, I'm looking to buy a 335i. What should I check for? What should I look out for? So I'm finally going to be making that video for you guys today, and I hope you guys do enjoy. All right, let's get into the video.
Aside from my soul,
Alright guys, so basically the time has finally come. You're looking to purchase your dream car, a BMW 335i, twin turbo, inline 6-cylinder engine, rear wheel drive, BMW drift machine. A super fun car and a super desired car by many enthusiasts and tuners worldwide. Now, like I said, one of the biggest things is that people have been asking me is what should I look out for when going to purchase a BMW 335i. Now, to start, of course, just like any car, you're going to want to run through the basics. You're going to want to check the oil level on the car. That's one of the most important things to do right off the bat. Check out the oil level, check the coolant level, make sure that the car has a sufficient amount of coolant in there, because if it looks like it's low, or if something looks off, if there's a different type of coolant in there or something, you can see that that's generally a red flag that potentially the car hasn't been maintained correctly or carefully as a lot of people may advertise. In addition to that, like I said, with checking all your fluids and your basic maintenance, go around, just do a thorough inspection of the car. Check the inside, make sure that the AC works, make sure that the iDrive control unit works, that even little things like the cup holders work and all that kind of stuff. When you're test driving the car, drive the car, listen for any weird sounds, any noises that don't seem like, that seem out of the norm. Those should be red flags, and you should just make sure to carefully listen to that. When you're driving the car, turn the AC off. Don't make sure that, you're not listening to music or anything when you test drive it. Make sure that you listen completely to the engine noise. Make sure that you get a feel for the suspension, the steering, to make sure that the car is properly aligned, to make sure that the suspension, the bushings and whatnot are good, and overall to make sure that the car is driving and handling okay. In addition to that, the other thing that I would do is check to make sure that the wheel bearing's okay. My car actually, I believe, has one of the wheel bearings is starting to go bad, I believe, because it's squeaking when I accelerate from low speeds. And it's a pretty noticeable squeaking sound. When it first starts to go bad, it's a much more mild sound. So I would really be careful to listen for that kind of stuff, a bad wheel bearing, especially on a higher mileage example of a BMW. That's generally just like a precautionary check that you should do. You should always just kind of look in and check the basic things, like check the oil level. And on a BMW, you're gonna have to do that via the iDrive screen or the little screen in the center of the gauge cluster. You can't physically check the oil. There's no dipstick to do that. It's all electronic on the BMWs. But now to get a little bit more specifically into the 335i itself, what are some things that you should check for in the engine bay specifically? Now, obviously, the 335i, especially in the earlier years, was plagued with a lot of issues. Injectors, high-pressure fuel pump, water pump, all that kind of stuff. Now, these are a lot of things which you can't really check. And what I mean by this is when you're just kind of looking at the car before you buy it, you can't really check to see the condition of the injectors, or how new the fuel pump or the water pump is, or if it's going to go out in a month from now. It's really hard to check those things because, first off, it's barely possible to even see them physically in the engine bay. And second off, you really don't have any way of telling from the exterior the condition of these components. They just kind of go bad, and there's generally like a mileage number that they tend to go bad at. For example, the water pump on these cars generally goes bad at around like 80 to 90,000 miles or so. and before you need to replace it. A lot of cars, the water pump is ran much longer than that, and a lot of times some people are still even on the OEM water pump. But for a lot of people, and a lot of people that have owned E90 generation cars, things like the water pump have gone bad, and the thermostat as well. So that's why it's really important that the owner that you are purchasing from, or the dealership that you're purchasing the car from, has service records at hand. This is extremely important because that will give you the peace of mind, or at least the knowledge to know what parts have been replaced on the car and what parts are still OEM from the factory that may have the potential of going bad in the future. Because these are things that you can't really check on a pre-purchase inspection or just looking at the car from a visual standpoint before you're gonna buy it. These are only things that you're gonna kind of have an idea about if you have the service records, and if you know if that high pressure fuel pump was replaced, or if brand new index 12 injectors were put 3 months ago into the car, whatever it may be. Now, as far as things that you can check, that from a precautionary standpoint, from the N54 engine on the BMW 335i, or even like the other motors like the N52 or whatever it may be, it is really important, first off, to check all your different vacuum lines and coolant lines. Pop the engine bay open, inspect all those coolant hoses, all those little vacuum lines that are kind of routing in and out of the engine and stuff. Just take a look at them. If they look kind of brittle, if they look like they're on the verge of sort of tearing, or that they could easily crack open, if the vacuum lines look like they're in bad condition and stuff like that, I'm not saying that that's a complete waste of time looking at that car and to just instantly turn it around, but just be aware that these are things that can potentially go bad. For example, on my car, the upper radiator hose cracked about a month and a half into me owning the car, and about 4 to 5 months later of me owning the car, one of my vacuum lines actually cracked open and disconnected and threw my car into limp mode. It was a very tiny little vacuum line under the engine cover that ran right over the valve cover, and that vacuum line split open, put my car into limp mode for like 3 weeks. I had no idea what was going on until I just finally literally took like a magnifying glass and was able to figure it out. So it's a really good idea to check those things. Check your coolant lines, check your vacuum lines. Next thing I would do is check the condition of the charge pipe and the intercooler piping. This is something that can commonly crack or disconnect on the car, even on a stock car, and especially if the car is tuned, if it already has a JB4 or a custom tune on it. Check the condition of the charge pipe. If it seems brittle, if there's a crack in it, if there's something that looks like it's loose on the diverter valves, or if it looks like it's going to disconnect, that's something that you should be aware of. The charge pipe may need to be upgraded, or it's on the verge of basically exploding, and that'll throw your car into limp mode and will be another thing that you'll have to replace. In addition to that, I would check for burning oil. So when you're driving the car, let it warm up properly, drive it for 5-10 minutes, however long you want to test drive it for, bring it back, pop the engine cover again, and make sure to smell the engine to see if you smell a significant burnt oil smell. If that is the case, most likely the valve cover gasket on the car is going bad. And the other way to check this is to look on the side of the engine. There's a little metal pan, and generally if the valve cover gasket is going bad, you'll see oil kind of dripping onto that metal pan and kind of burning off, and that's also where you're going to get that burning oil smell. Additionally, I would also check the oil filter housing gasket, which is right next to the engine. It's very noticeable to see, and generally if the gasket is going bad, oil will start seeping through and you'll see oil stains. So those are two common things which go bad quite commonly on this car. And aside from all of that kind of stuff, you guys, from looking in the engine bay, that's about it from what I would have to say personally. That's just my personal experience from what I've learned over owning my BMW 335i. Let me know, you guys, if there's anything that I missed, and be sure to comment in the comment section down below, and I'll pin your guys' comment or favorite it to make sure that other people can see it if I missed something important. So I hope this video kind of helps you guys out. I hope you guys were able to take something away from this and you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe, you guys. Thank you so much for watching as well. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so let's make that possible, you guys. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, get your bell notifications on so you'll get a push notification when I upload a video. And with all that being said, you guys, this was a little back to basics, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later, everyone.